Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you, my dear friends, have wandered onto the Prog Corner, and I'm not going to say it's the #1 prog rock channel on all of YouTube, because that's kind of disrespectful to all the other great YouTubers out there, so I'm sorry if I offended anybody with that prologue that I've been doing. You know I'm just kidding around. Anyway, today I'm looking at 3 albums that changed the world, man. There's only 3. Put your thinking caps on, boys and girls, and see if you can come up with the same 3 I've got. Because, realistically, there have been, 500,000 rock albums released, maybe more, since the 50s. So how do I come down to 3 albums that changed everything? Well, there's been a lot of influential albums over the years, albums that influenced a lot of other bands over time. We look at Bob Dylan going electric on Bringing It All Back Home in 1965. It influenced some people, but I don't think it was a seismic shift in the landscape of popular music in any way. In a Silent Way from 1969, Miles Davis goes rock, with rock instrumentation and whatnot. Yeah, it was influential within the jazz realm, just like Dylan was influential in the folk realm, but I don't think it crossed over into every genre of music at all. An important album, sure. An influential album, sure. But not going to make my list. And the same thing is true for In the Court of the Crimson King, right? Super duper influential, but really did it influence, everything that was going on the pop charts or other rock bands? Because honestly, I didn't even hear that album until like 1980. So I don't know how influential it really was. I've got 3 that changed everything. And I want to see what you guys think. But before we get into that, first of all, I want to say thank you. If you're new here, welcome to the Prog Corner. I'm Scott. I'm your host, and I'm an idiot, egomaniac. But we have a good time on here. And at the end of this video, man, we're going to be dancing with snakes. Absolutely. So, if you like the video, hit like. If you really like it, hit subscribe. If you're in love with what I'm doing here, consider becoming a member of the Prog Corner. I'll put a link in the description. Anyway, before we get started, a quick shout out to Andy and the boys from Unit. Just sent me their brand new album. It's called Der Kunst hier Freiheit. I don't really understand why we've got a German title, because apparently this is his love letter to Italian Prague. He sent me a letter with all the different influences. Like every song is influenced by an Italian act here. Le Orme, Le Conte della Fate, Flea, Blocco Mentale, Reale, Academy de Musica, Jet, Latte Miale, PFM, all my favorites, Formula 3. And he says he's not going to stop until he finds a Unit album I like. And this is going in the car right now, man. So thanks, Andy. I appreciate that. Let's talk about the 3 albums that changed everything, man. There's only 3. I can't think of a 4th one. I really can't. And we're going to do this chronologically. The first one, May 26th, 1967. The Beatles were on a roll, man. They had been putting out so much great music. Rubber Soul was amazing. Revolver was amazing and really opened the doors to a lot. But it's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band that changed everything, man. Yeah, Revolver set the table. The music on Revolver, very progressive, leaning to, all kinds of different avenues, but it was primarily in service of the song. Whereas this here thing, everything was in service of the whole, from the packaging to the quasi-concept to the, reprise of the Sgt. Pepper's theme at the very end, right before, Day in a Life, which is one of the most progressive things ever. So it created a concept of music, rock music as art. It also created the idea that the album was superior to the 45, that we cared about it. The album wasn't just a collection of songs. It could be a work of art on its own. And it also kind of ushered in the era of the superstar producer, where the studio and what you were doing there became a big, big part of what bands could do going forward. Because this thing was recorded on 4 tracks, man. It's just insane. How do you do that? A lot of you guys probably have, 4-track Tascam machines and stuff you recorded on. Could you have recorded Sgt. Pepper on your Tascam? I don't think I could have. But, you know, the Beatles obviously were the most influential band of all time, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, arguably the most important album of all time, the most influential album of all time. It prefaced prog rock. There'd be no prog rock without Sgt. Pepper, that's a fact. And we're talking about important, right? Because if I'm talking about my favorite albums of 1967, I don't know if this is my favorite, man. I really don't. The Mothers of Invention put out Absolutely Free. Zombies put out a great record. Jimi Hendrix put out 2 great records. The Doors put out 2 great records. Surrealistic Pillow came out that year. But yeah, it's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. As my first record that changed everything, changed the course of the universe. Yeah, and then, rock music went through the 70s, clearly indebted to the Beatles. But things were happening towards the latter end of the decade. A band called the Ramones put out a record in 76. CBGB was, awash with all this different kind of stuff. Talking Heads, Blondie, Television, all that stuff. But in 1976, the Sex Pistols released a 45, Anarchy in the UK. They followed it up in 77 with their debut album, Never Mind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols, and it changed everything. The Ramones album, that didn't change anything. I bought it, I liked it, but it didn't make me want to run out and start a punk band. The Ramones were definitely influential, but there were a lot of them too. You had like MC5 and the Stooges, and a whole lot of American bands were doing stuff that I call proto-punk. But this was the shot heard around the world, man. This album sleeve cost $50 to make. It basically took Hypnosis out of business. This record took a lot of people out of business. And the one thing about the Sex Pistols was, everybody knew about their snarl and their anger and their angst and all that kind of stuff. But what people fail to realize is just how incredibly good this album is. Nobody would care about this album if it wasn't good. And it's not good. It's great. Every song on here is amazing. I absolutely love it. Yeah, Johnny Rotten was clearly indebted to Peter Hamill, but the whole band just kicks, man. It's just awesome. You only have Sid Vicious playing on like 2 songs, so the musicianship on here is actually fantastic. Steve Jones, Paul Cook just bringing it home. Just an amazing album. Every song on here is great. Pretty Vacant, Liar, EMI, God Save the Queen, Bodies. I love it. It's perfect, and it changed everything. Think about all the punk rock, all the, the pop punk and all the new wave. All that stuff happened because of the Sex Pistols. One and only album. I absolutely love it. And the third album that changed everything. Let's see if you boys and girls can guess where my head's at here. The album that changed everything happened in 1991. In September 10th of 1991, this band dropped a single that hit MTV, and it changed my life. 2 weeks later, Nevermind was dropped. And yeah, Johnny Rotten was not happy with this album title. Kurt Cobain obviously was referencing the Sex Pistols when he named it Nevermind. But come on, man, Nevermind changed everything. Back in 1991 when this thing came out, every major radio market had radio stations and had rock radio stations, but they were all classic rock, man. The only new music they would play is if like Tom Petty or Eric Clapton put out a new album, and then this thing came and it changed everything, man. You don't have to like this album. You're wrong if you don't. You really don't have to like it, but you have to acknowledge its importance, its impact. Rock was dead. Rock and roll was dead in 1991. Nirvana saved it from the slack heap, kept rock and roll going for another 10 or 15 years until, it started dying again. We need a fourth masterpiece, right? We need a fourth album to ring the bell, to change everything, because these 3 albums are the only 3 I can think of that absolutely upended the apple cart. Every single part of the pre-recorded music business, from radio to retail, everything changed because of Nirvana, everything changed because of the Sex Pistols, and everything changed because of the Beatles. Those are the 3 albums that I think changed the world. The 3 albums that absolutely impacted every single corner of the music industry. within the rock realm, right? I mean, I guess there were probably classical or R&B records that moved the needle a little bit. I'm not qualified to talk about Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, right? I'm just not. I'm a rock guy. So those are the 3 albums that changed rock forever. Let me know if you've got any additions or, if you think there's maybe something I missed. But I think those are the 3. I don't think there's a 4th one. I'm waiting for one. Hopefully there will be one this century to bring rock and roll back where it belongs. Anyway, boys and girls, I love you. Peace in the Middle East. Free the Ukraine. Free, who are we going to free today? Free your mind. Free beer. Free Willie. Free everything. Free everybody. I don't really even care anymore because what we're talking about is saving a king, right? King Chucky, man. King Charles III, please come to America, sir. We need you. We need you right now. The House of Windsor. Oh, come on in, man. We got a guy that wants to be a king anyway. We got a king in the UK already, so bring him over. Maybe, it can be the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and the United States, and then we're going to dance with snakes. Oh, King Chucky's got the snakes. He wants to take over America and Greenland and maybe the Panama Canal, too. Oh, world domination. Oh, I love it. That's my goal. I'm going to dominate the world with these snakes. Oh, look at these snakes going crazy. Oh, look at my analytics going down the tank. And I don't care. I love you guys. I'll see you Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern time when we're talking about our favorite childhood records, right? Albums that moved the needle and rocked our world back when we were little kids. So that's going to be great with the one and only Davey Bandana, man, from the Bardic Depths will be joining us. Oh, he's such a great guest. I can't wait. I'll see you then. Peace.